So you're here today because you are interested in generating final expense leads, but you're either a broke or you don't want to spend more money on bad leads and wondering what free strategies or no-cost strategies exist so that you can get in front of quality final expense prospects and hopefully close more deals. I've got 4 different strategies to discuss with you today, plus an extra bonus strategy to incorporate with any of these. And my goal for you is to empower you with the knowledge necessary to help more people with their final expense and burial insurance needs. Greetings and salutations. My name is David Duford. I own Duford Insurance Group. We train agents nationally with our unique one-on-one mentorship program to become successful producers in final expense, either over the phone or face-to-face. Check out davidduford.com for more details. So let's jump right in. Now, I'm going to stun you all who, if you've listened to enough of my content long enough, especially as I diss the MLM agencies out there that deal out the Kool-Aid. The first strategy here we're going to discuss is the ability to generate leads from friends or family. I can hear the boos in the background happening right now, but David, that's MLM, Kool-Aid drinking, blah, 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 blah. I get it. So bear with me here because I'm going to start with a story that kind of challenge your predisposition, because you want to always be open-minded to different ideas because it might benefit your business. So this actually, what I'm about to describe, just happened. And I think it kind of encapsulates how I've shifted my opinion on friends and family marketing. Before I get to the story, just so you know, if you're brand new, what is friends and family marketing? Well, it's you coming into the business and talking to people you already know, business associates, friends, family members, about what you do, and then selling them a product. The advantage of doing that is they already know, like, and trust you to some degree. Hopefully they do, and therefore are more likely to want to buy and do business from you. So it's a natural way. It's called your natural market to sell insurance, in this case, specifically final expense. But it comes with a lot of hangups. What if you want to go to family events without being avoided constantly because you're that guy that's trying to sell them something, right? So it comes with some qualms, of which I personally avoided for about a year before I sold my mom and then my dad a policy. But there are some advantages to it. I want to start first, though, with the story, because I've heard of this happening before. And if you think about it the right way, and this is really important, it changes your mindset on how you approach what may originally feel like, I don't want to be that pushy product pusher to my friends and family, and I want people to talk to me. So here's the story. So I have an agent in my agency. He's worked with me for a while. His name is John Gramble. Telesales guy, lives in Brooklyn, I think is where he lives. Maybe the Bronx. I can never get it right. It's the same, right? New Yorkers probably say, yeah, right. Anyways, he sells over the phone, has for years with us. Nice guy. People like him a lot. And I got an email literally yesterday that his brother died. The brother suddenly died over the weekend. And I think it's a little bit older, an older brother. And of course, what happened? He didn't have any life insurance. And so his family is literally doing the GoFundMe struggle, trying to figure out where to come up with the money in order to pay funeral expenses. And it dawned on me, as somebody who runs an agency and really never to any extent impounds or pushes on our agents to sell friends and family. What if I actually made an intentional effort to remind our people on a somewhat regular basis, not to the point of being pushy, that might be a good idea to talk to your friends and family about getting life insurance. And now we have a circumstance where, a good friend of our business has had a loved one die, and perhaps maybe if we had impressed upon him a little bit more, somebody he deeply cared about would have had some kind of protection in place and would have been protected. So it's got me thinking, right? I guess is my point. And has got me thinking about the importance of implementing that to some degree. But of course, the other side of this is to be tactful, is to be tasteful, right? Because the concern I had when I first started, as many of you probably do too, is you don't want to be the guy that is pushy about this stuff and people don't want you around because you're always badgering people to buy life insurance. So I think it first starts with, a mindset shift. You got to be okay with if you're going to do the friends and family approach to marketing, and you are struggling with it, think of the story I shared with you. Think of a loved one that you would never expect dying and how that would impact the lives of the people around them, maybe their kids or their spouse, right? And think about what types of financial pain could be avoided by simply just describing to them what you do, asking for an audience to show them, but not going over the boundary line of being pushy and aggressive. You can do all of this and still retain a relationship with the people you love and care about, your friends and family. So I would ask you, like I have, is to question your premonitions, your limiting beliefs on how to do this. And I would imagine, as I have come to the conclusion myself, there's a way to sell people who already know, like, and trust you without losing the knowing, liking, and trusting by being too pushy. So how do we do that tastefully after we've changed our mindset? Well, here's how I would recommend you doing it. You want to, there's a concept called the Project 100. Some of you probably are familiar with this. It's old school. You list 100 people down that you have some kind of relationship with, business, old clients from your other profession, friends, family, right? You come up with, it doesn't have to be 100, it could be less, or it could be more, but it's a list of people you can begin to talk to and prospect, okay? You then call them on the phone or message them, and your goal is to set up a one-on-one in-person meeting to discuss what you do. And this is where I want you to make the distinction between the person who is pushy and aggressive and will eventually lose contact with friends and family, versus the person that's concerned, caring, wants to help, but doesn't want to potentially damage relationships. So scripting wise, what I'd recommend you to do is call the person up in question, talk a little bit, then transition to saying something like this. Hey, the reason I'm calling you is I've actually made a career shift. We're helping people out with their, what we call their final expense and life insurance needs. And I'm what's known as a broker. I offer different products, help out, and I would love the opportunity just to show you what I do. There's no obligation to buy from me. I don't want to be that guy that pushes people around, you know what I mean? But I think it would be very beneficial just to see what's out there, and then at least give me an opportunity to display and practice what I do. And then if there's the ability to help you out with maybe something out there that could give you peace of mind, God forbid somebody died. So why don't I come over and see about 10 o'clock, or does 2 work better? So that protracted conversation there is what we call an appointment setting, selling the appointment. So I'm trying to sell this person on who I care about, that I'm not going to, pierce that veil of, you're not going to, turn me into a target or a prospect. And I'm trying to really sell that there's no big deal. There's no obligation. If anything, it's just going to help me out by practicing and getting in front of you, right? And then closing for the appointment, you still have to close. So why don't I come by at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock? You can absolutely do this over the phone and transition that way. The close would be just asking some questions about what it is that they're doing related to the product you're selling, for, in this example, final expense. So it's something that absolutely works. And if you take that sincere, genuine approach to setting it up, people will feel that and reciprocate that. People have a good sense, especially people who know, like, and trust you, if you're trying to run a product sale on them. And that's the thing you want to be sensitive to. So my approach has always been approach the thing in question that is concerning or worrisome out front. Be upfront about it. Hey, I'm doing this now. I just want the opportunity to show you. If you don't want it after I show it to you, that's fine. I would really love the opportunity to practice. And what I've seen calling and talking to other people is there's a big need for this. And you might be surprised at, what's out there and what we could do. Why don't I come over at 10 or 2? So script wise, that's what I would do. That's how I would come up with the prospect list itself. And then I would just start stopping by people's houses or just setting up appointments or calling them over the phone. And you'll be surprised at how many people will actually sit back and say, I've been thinking about this for years, and I'm so glad that you called me. And here's the thing, I'll end on this. At the end of the day, the vast majority of us would rather buy and do business with people we already know, like, and trust. Okay. I would prefer to hire workers around the house or hire firms that have had a track record of success from people I actually am aware of, that I know personally and respect. Okay. I don't want to take my chances, if I can help it, with somebody who listed an ad in a newspaper or online that I don't know if they're actually legit. I don't know if they're actually going to do what they say, because there's a lot of pain and suffering from a bad relationship with a vendor, right? So this is where working people you already know, like, and trust is really handy, because if they know you and you're a good person and you're somebody that they appreciate and trust, it lowers the threat level that all of us have when dealing with unknown people in a purchasing environment. And that's something you can take advantage of. And you'll get a lot of sales just because they know, like, and trust you. And I would even wager, even if you don't know your material, like back it up and down, left and right, you're like a master at it, there are still people that will want to buy from you because the value of having somebody you trust outweighs even the value of knowledge. Knowing you're doing business with somebody who is like you, who understands you, et cetera, there's an extreme value in that. So don't discount that. The key thing is just not to disenfranchise the people you care about, right? Because there are horror stories of people walking around and, you know, prospecting and being pushy to their family members, and you got to live with these people, you know, so don't go too far with it, is the point. Okay. Number 2 on the list here is social media. And when I say social media, it's using your existing platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you guys use these days, and then to tastefully post up useful information about what it is that you do, in order to, what we would say, slow drip or drip on people to develop awareness of what you do, and then simultaneously to grab people out of that mix to then convert them into clients. So I have an agent who is a longtime agent at DeFord Insurance Group, Mr. Thomas Jackson, lives down in, I think, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He made 6 figures in 2020 or 2021, exclusively doing just this, selling final expense, some life insurance too. But he has for years been developing his personal profile with helpful videos, posts, etc., talking about life insurance, talking about burial insurance, and just doing what I would call education-based approach to his sphere of influence, talking about what he does and how he works. And it's taken time, as all things do when you do an organic approach. It's usually not immediate. You'll get some immediate sales, but there are people who will say, I've been looking at your stuff for years, and now is the time, and they'll be ready to buy. This is a great strategy. It works very well. It's really an extension of the friends and family strategy, and a lot of the same rules apply. You don't want to be over aggressive and pushy about it, but you want to be helpful. And it allows you to create a reputation and really brand yourself in a way that people will start to reach out to you because of your effort over months and years of posting useful information. So first thing you got to do is understand, what do you post about? Because this is kind of where people get confused, worried, wondering if it's going to be a problem. I'm going to give you some ideas here. And the key thing I want you to do is think about how I operate with recruiting agents, okay? For those of you who watch my channel, am I like constantly like trying to close you in like an aggressive outward manner? No, I'm educating you on how to sell final expense, how to sell insurance. I'm giving away a lot of my script, my strategies, my experience, and I expect nothing in return from anybody. I just sincerely want to help. And for what people use it for is totally up to them. Now, I do know because this is what we call the law of reciprocity. When you give long enough, no matter what it is that you're doing, giving information and help on how to sell insurance successfully, giving information on how to get coverage in place to give the most peace of mind successfully, I know that over time, me doing this in a protracted, consistent way, prospects will immediately rise to the surface. And the cool thing is everybody who sticks to this methodology for years on end is what they'll say is they all are ready to buy. It's not even really sales anymore. It's order taking. And we've got that in recruiting. We have people who by the time they go through the interview process and apply, we don't need to sell them on how great the Ford Insurance Group is. My content, what I've done, what I've helped with for the weeks, months, even years sometimes, has sold them all they need to be sold. Does that make sense? And what I'm doing is not special. It's not. I just copied and pasted from other strategies out there. There's tons of influencers or practitioners in different industries that do exact the same thing. They give away everything knowing that they're going to receive more than they give. And if you take that mentality and insert it into whatever social platforms that you use, you will see results from that. And again, the cool thing is the results you get are the best sales. They usually buy more. They buy at larger amounts. There's not nearly the same level of concerns about the quality of business because it's coming from a source that has been sold on you and has been basically, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated for weeks, months, years on end. And they tend to be the best clients and the easiest to close. So again, it's not an immediate source of business, but it is a very good one. So which platforms are best? Whatever you use the most. And this is kind of how I would look at this. For recruiting, I stuck to YouTube because I'm a YouTuber. I love YouTube. I've used YouTube for years just for informational and entertainment usage, right? So I'm familiar with the platform. I like the platform. That's where 80 to 90% of my effort has been since I became an agency back in 2013 when I started my first video in 2014. So I would say whatever preferred platform you love, do it. There's enough eyeballs and people who need life insurance on those platforms. Just do which one that you love. Again, I'm a fan, as you guys know, of specialization, not generalization. I think it's wiser to pick one and run with it versus spread yourself thin over multiple platforms. So pick the one that you use well and appreciate the best and become the best at it. You'll learn a lot about the platform. You'll get better at doing it. Your videos, written posts, whatever, get better. Go all in on one thing. And doing one thing really well is a lot simpler and takes less bandwidth than doing everything all at once as a new person. Other things. Well, should I do a written post? Should I do video post? I don't know. But just pick one, try different ones, and do what you're most comfortable with. That's really the main thing. I like video. Video for me is easier to do because I've been doing it for so long. Like I literally just took this training in like 5 minutes, put all the bullet points down, and I could sit here and talk, about as bad as a politician and go on and on and on because I've been doing it for so long, right? But before that, I mean, YouTube was great for me just because it was a platform where there wasn't a lot of competition. That was kind of part of it in the beginning, for sure. But if you prefer writing posts, do writing. That's fine. But understand, do what works best for you. Whatever gets you to take action is kind of the main thing. Some people are video watchers. Some people are post readers, right? And you'll kind of figure this out as you do more. And like on Facebook, it's funny. I will post videos and then posts. And I find there's way more engagement and interaction with written posts versus video, which is shocking to me because I'm a video guy by default. So you'll figure this out and you'll find out where your strengths are. But the key thing is to do something. It doesn't have to be perfect either. And don't worry, there's always going to be negative Nancys and jerk offs, and you can't do anything about those people. Who cares what they think? I get hate all the time. I don't care what they think. It doesn't bother me. They can't reach through the screen and get me. And you've got to do what's best. And for every one piece of hate that you get, think about all the people you wouldn't be able to help if you let that hate get in the way, right? So you have to take perspective on that. Is don't let the loudmouth morons who want to mount anything in life deter you and bring you down to their level. And the last thing I'll mention on here is make sure you understand that it is a long-term process if you do social media. It is free. It's great leads. Doesn't cost anything to post. It's all about just giving consistent content for a long time. But there's a lot of money in it, and there's more that you can generate from social media than you could ever imagine, especially in the insurance space where everybody needs this stuff, right? But what you discount is what happens when your content goes viral, even in a small way, where maybe somebody shares that content to a new set of people who maybe aren't in your immediate sphere of influence, and then your name starts to spread to other people, and things kind of have this sequential process. That takes time to develop, but it is absolutely well worth it. With content, it's about activity. Please don't obsess over perfection. It doesn't exist, okay? If you want to see some of my goofy videos, go back to my YouTube channel and then put it in order of first published, and you can see me on an iPhone 4 standing in my office doing my first video. I'm not comfortable on camera. You can kind of sense it, but I put it out anyway because what I knew from previous experiences and performance-based activities, you get better the more you do it. So, and everybody's like that. Cody Askins, I remember when I was interviewing him, kind of said the same thing. It's like, go back and look at those old videos. It's terrible. We all kind of say the same thing. So be comfortable being uncomfortable. Know that you'll rapidly get better as you start to do more. And I believe the more that you do, the more swings at the plate that you do, the better and faster you're going to get. I would avoid being in this mindset, well, I'm going to do one piece of content every 2 weeks. Bad idea. I want you to do one piece of content a day. People like Gary Vaynerchuk say do 3 pieces of content a day, so there's more emphasis, I think, on doing more, a lot more than you think, than doing less. All right. Number 3 on the list here is cold calling. So let's talk a little bit about cold calling. So cold calling, what is that? If you're new to sales, cold calling is where you pick up that phone, right? And then you attempt to make outbound calls to either set an appointment or sell over the phone, or you just show up unannounced. We call this maybe cold canvassing at a person's home. You offer the ability to get in and then sit down and do an appointment. It is what I would regard as the toughest way to generate leads on a cost-free basis, but it's very effective if you do enough volume and you have a strategic approach to making it happen. Now, we just don't want to walk down the street and talk to anybody, although if you do enough of that, you'll eventually make some sales. But we want to approach cold calling, if you're going to go that direction, in a more strategic manner that gets you in front of a more niche-based audience. So let's talk about some strategies here. So if I were going to do cold calling and final expense, I would personally prefer to do canvassing in person as opposed to cold calling over the phone. I believe agents have a much better chance of getting appointments by seeing people in the flesh than they do by calling over the phone without having any prior regard of who you are. If I'm doing either or method, here's the strategy script-wise that I like to use. So the one thing we can say with everybody that we talk to is they get these direct mail postcards in the mail all the time. They have for years about state-regulated final expense programs. Most of them throw it away. But they've read it and are like, this is kind of some scam. And what is this, right? There's some kind of awareness of what it's about, even though most people throw it away. And we use that awareness to leverage our way to get in the door. So the first thing I would say, this method isn't totally cost-free. I mean, it could be, but I think you'd be a little bit more effective if you spent like $50 to $75 for a list of 1,000 names, targeting people, I would say 65 to 75 within whatever area. So I will put that primer on it because then you have a much more niched approach to prospecting. So with this list, you can either cold call as long as they're not on the do not call list. That kind of makes it difficult because most people are, or you can go in person. And the script I would use, thinking of the direct mail card, is something like this. Hey, Mrs. Jones, my name is David Duford. I am here because you actually received one of these postcards about our new state-regulated final expense program. And the reason I'm here is that they send me out to talk to people who don't fill these cards out, to deliver this information, to show you what it's about. And what you do with it is totally up to you. That's my job, is just to deliver it to you. Why don't we take 5 minutes, sit over here, and talk about it on the porch, or should I come in? So this here, everybody understand what happened. I use the thing they get all the time, that dang postcard that they wonder if it's a scam or not, as leverage to get in. This is very similar to the script that we use, where they actually do send it in. Except we don't say, hey, you sent it in, here's your signature. We say, hey, you've probably gotten this card a bunch of times. My job is to deliver this information. People who don't send this back, whatever you do with it's up to you. Why don't we sit out here? Can I come in for 5 minutes to discuss? It uses the same psychology with the direct mail card, and it latches on the script to something they have some level of familiarity with. I assure you, every single senior gets these cards in the mail, and most of them throw it out and wonder if it's legit or not. And we're leveraging that as a way to get in. So with that strategy, a couple of things I would suggest. Number one, how many doors do you knock? Expect to knock on a lot of doors and not get into a lot of homes, okay? But that's okay. It's cold calling. It's a volume-based approach. So your main mindset should be talking to as many people and knocking on as many doors as possible. A good friend in the business, Lewis, he's a straight up cold caller, old school guy, almost 80 years old now. I think. Hope Lewis is doing all right. I haven't talked to him in a while. Out of Athens, Tennessee. He would cold call like a lot of the old timers would. And for every 15, I think his numbers were every 30 approaches, he would get 10 presentations. And this is a straight cold list, not even qualified like what we described. And then he would close 3 deals. That was his number. So basically every 10 door knocks for him was a sale. And that was flat out cold. And that number held up for him over many decades that he did this. So my point is, as far as activity go, I would say do 30 door knocks a day, 20 to 30 door knocks a day, especially to a targeted list like this. You're going to find deals. There's all sorts of people that are sitting around, wish they took care of this, but never got around to it. Okay. Now, the last strategy on the list is my personal favorite. It's the one that I have done probably 100 plus times in my tenure as a final expense agent. I've taught it to hundreds of people who have used it successfully, and it is called seminar marketing. And as a side note, if you're watching this and you want my complete seminar marketing system, go to daviddeford.com/ISS, register a free training account for my insurance sales success training site. We include my seminar marketing mastery program completely for free. We usually retail it for $500, but if you join Insurance Sales Success for free, you get the Seminar Marketing Mastery System for free. So there's an entire system in excruciating quality detail about how to do what I'm about to describe in generalities here. Okay, so that is yours free if you join. And for those of you watching live, look under the classroom section, you'll find it near the bottom. Okay, so what is seminar marketing for final expense agents? Real simple. We go into senior activity centers, which are, you could do senior activity centers, but we like to target senior living facilities. These are HUD facilities designated for 55 and older or 62 and older that are set up where people who are healthy enough to live independently can get quality housing in a rent-controlled, rent-friendly environment sponsored by the Housing Urban Development, HUD. There are facilities in every single municipality, medium-sized and up. Even big, small towns, there are several of these HUD facilities. There are more being created every single year. In fact, where I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, part of town we're in, we're looking at probably 1 or 2 HUD facilities coming around the corner from us. So with the aging population, there's a lot of these facilities. There's more of these facilities. And the reason we target these facilities is because the type of person that moves into a HUD facility typically is lower income, single, and matches the demographics and economics of somebody who would buy a final expense plan. Additionally, each of these facilities have activity directors, and their job is to make or schedule activities to get the residents involved so they're not sitting up in the top of the in their apartments all by themselves, you know, and never actually getting out and doing anything, because a lot of people will turn into shut-ins if you let them. So what we do, knowing all this, is we target these living facilities for seniors. We talk directly to the activity directors and we say, hey, my name's David DeFord. I'm a licensed life insurance agent. I conduct educational, keyword educational, seminars for people on a fixed income, mostly seniors, about how to take care of final expenses without burdening their loved ones. It's a 10 to 15 minute talk We give a lot of useful information they can put into effect immediately. I bring food, I bring drinks, and we actually do a drawing at the end for a free $25 gift card to Walmart. I'd like to come over in the next month and come in and do one of these and speak to your people. When is best for you? That really is the pitch. And what you will find is about 70% of the time, the living facilities will allow you to book. They are so thrilled, in fact, when you come by, because you're doing their job. You're booking activities for them without them trying to figure out what to do. So they like the fact, especially when you bring food and goodies and stuff, to book you. And the other thing, too, is there's not a lot of final expense agents that do these events. What they're mostly inundated with are Medicare agents coming to do them. And frankly, they're sick and tired of it because sometimes there's bad Medicare agents that flip people out of good plans, lose their valuable drug coverage to the same extent, and then the activity directors have to unwind it and go back to the old plan. So the fact that you're not a Medicare agent is actually a good thing for them. And then when you do the event, there's a particular way to promote the event. You want to be sensitive to doing that in a timely fashion. We go over that in the course that you guys can get for free. The talk itself is 10 to 15 minutes long. We talk about the differences of term life, whole life, having coverage, not having coverage, the benefits of being prepared, stories that we've had from the field, answer questions. It's no more than 15 minutes. And from there, we cultivate leads and start selling them. Why is this great? Because with seminar marketing, it's a one-to-many approach. So you're scaling your activity and talking to, in many cases, 10 to 15 people at a time. Also, you're the perceived authority because you have the guts to get up and talk to in front of a bunch of people, so people don't question your authority nearly as much. They believe what you say and trust. And it just tends to be an easier sale. By the time you talk to them, you've developed rapport with them. They like you. They trust you to some extent. And there's a lot of opportunity right then and there to sell them on the spot. One of the first, and I've been in events where I've sold 6, 7 policies. Granted, I've been in events where I haven't sold anything. You know, there's definitely ebbs and flows like with any kind of lead system, but it's a process that's wonderful, all built upon the fact that you don't have to spend any money on leads to get them, which makes it really powerful. If you, again, want to get more details on it, including an example seminar that I personally did that you can see the speech and the script in action. Again, daviddufour.com/ISS. Once you're registered, look under the classroom section for it. You're absolutely welcome to do it. The last thing, the bonus section here, that you should always be implementing if you do any kind of, whether you pay for leads, but certainly if you are just self-generating leads, is one of the downfalls to most of these free lead programs is they're harder to scale. That's why we don't recruit agents who just do free lead programs, just to be straight up with you, because the problem is they can't scale to the same extent. I can get an agent doing 15 appointments, writing $5,000 in premium a week off of 6, 7, 8 deals weekly, easily with direct mail or Facebook leads. But when we do seminar marketing or cold calls or social media, it's hard to get 15 preset appointments or 15 of any kind of appointments consistently every single week because of the massive effort it requires to put this stuff together. So what I think you should do is, if you're doing any kind of free program, make sure that you are doing referral generation. Okay. You should always be asking every closed deal from cold calls or paid leads or any free lead program or free lead strategies. You should be asking for a couple of names at the end of the call of people you can follow up on and see how they're working and what they're doing. It is really important. It's not complicated. There is no magical script. What you want to say is at the end of the call, hey, you happy with what we've done today? Do you like what you've done? Is this good for you? Well, then here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to give me names of 2 people in particular, like a brother or sister, and I'd love the opportunity to help them out. And then you need to look down and basically say, so what's your, who's the first person's name? Get their phone number. You can call them while you're there is the most effective way to book the appointment, or you can leave, have the person call to prep for you to make the call. So there's kind of this connection made, and then you call and then you say something like, hey, Mrs. Jones, my name is David Duford. Your sister, Sally Jones, asked me to call and I promised her I would. I helped her with her final expense needs, and she thought it was a good idea for me to come by and show you what I do. All I need is 5 minutes to do it. What you do with it's up to you. No pressure or anything. Why don't I come by at 10 o'clock or 2? And that is a strategy that is incredibly powerful and will get you in front of that many more people. Now, another layer of what you can do on this, if you're doing referral generation, is you need to pepper through the presentation, especially like in the introduction. You need to set the standard as normally what you do is referrals, and you doing cold calls or seminars is not the norm. What normally happens is that your happy clients always refer people. So something like in the introduction of the presentation, you need to say, hey, my name is David Duford. I help people specifically who are looking for final expense life insurance. I'm a broker. I shop around. And typically what happens is I'm always referred friends and family from clients who buy a policy and are happy with the work that I've done. I normally don't, use leads or do seminars, but basically everybody I deal with is from referral. That's how I prefer to work, because what we do is very important and people like to refer to me. So you see, I've kind of implanted in the client's mind early on, I work by referral only most of the time. So by the time that you ask for the referral later, they're kind of preset to understand the expectations of from you, what they're supposed to do, which is refer. You're supposed to refer. That's how David works, right? So in conclusion, these are the free strategies that you can use to generate final expense business without buying any leads. We'll wrap it up. Number one, friends and family. Do it tastefully, but please consider doing it because you don't want to be in a situation where you could have helped somebody you love and care about, but didn't because you were a little bit too wrapped up in how you'd be perceived. Number two, social media. Give. First and foremost, don't worry about the results from it, but it's a long play, but it's incredibly powerful if you position it right and handle it correctly. Number three, cold calling, a great way to get started, especially door knocking, using some information like the cards that they get as a way and as leverage to get in the door, to set appointments. And last on the list here, seminar marketing, probably the best form of prospecting for free. And of course, you can get the whole course at davidduford.com/ISS. And then of course, on top of all that, referrals in order to magnify your results from the cold prospecting to get more high quality leads for free.